A therapist would tell you that's all.
This whole thing is my therapist's idea, really.
You should see a therapist about this, because you don't want to spend the rest of
I told it to a therapist about 8,000 times.
Therapist?
I'm the
therapist.
Had her...
Mrs. Van Dam was a physical therapist.
The therapist you recommended.
I just fired my therapist.
Therapist and...
What does my therapist do for me? I mean, basically...
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
You told your
That's what the
therapist.
green men are saying nowadays. Take me to your therapist.
I think in a different environment,
Not the
she'll just
environment. It's a therapist.
That thing's...
Yeah, well, a therapist would tell you. Is this where we're going?
Yeah.
A therapist would tell you that's all good.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you ever in therapy?
Oh, no. Do I see my...
All right, this is not like my idea. This whole thing is my therapist's idea, really.
Nobody have your back. You know what? You should see a therapist about this, because you don't want to spend the rest of your life. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I remember. You know why? Because I told it to a therapist about 8,000 times. I mean, this is a 4th grade participant.
Person, please?
What sort of person? Personal trainer? Travel planner? Therapist?
I don't know. Somebody in charge.
The ship's steward handles passenger.
For there to be emotional transference between a patient and a therapist.
Had her perform oral sex in your car?
Never.
Our neighbor, Mrs. Van Dam, was a physical therapist. We live 4 blocks from a public pool.
Dr. Baum says you still haven't contacted the therapist you recommended and that he will reschedule the MRI.
Yeah. Don't worry, I'm working on it. I just fired my therapist. She was such an idiot, though. She's diagnosed.
Now, in a few months, you'll be able to start the rehab process. You can talk to your physical therapist, and with some hard work, I'm sure.
Yeah, let's recognize just this way, though. But I'm like, then, what does my therapist do for me? I mean, basically, just prepare all this to talk about.
Hey, come on. Look, I don't think you're crazy, all right?
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
You told your therapist that you were in a superior mental illness category.
Place in the cosmos.
Led by a psychologist.
That's right.
So that's what the little green men are saying nowadays. Take me to your therapist.
Listen up.
Let me take her to the park, okay? I think in a different
It's
environment,
not the
she'll
environment.
just
It's a therapist. You know, I can't let you take her off grounds.
Function of profitability and none of your business.
Get help, Stanley.
Get into a program, get a therapist, get a dog, but whatever you do, stay away from my child.
I've got some updated reports here from your GP, your own consultant, and your physiotherapist. And they're all furious.
Do you know Stafford Weiss? The therapist? No.
Understand that since I'm a court-appointed psychologist, that the traditional client-therapist confidentiality will be waived. Do you understand?
Great. So you'll see a therapist. I can't bring you into the house.
You have big daddy issues.
Okay, that's enough. I'll tell you what, your average therapist is going to charge you $200-300 for this session. Me, I'll take a tenner.
You don't know what it's like.
Maybe it would help if you talked to somebody. I mean, like a therapist or somebody, you know?
Don't trick me, Judah. Christ, I'm shaking.
You still remind her that you love her. Therapist explained it had to do with the primitive part of the brain, amygdala.
Recuperation.
Yeah. Is she a massage therapist?
Oh, no. She just, has... Sometimes I could stretch...
Yes. I'm a psychotherapist. Paul Vitti is my patient.
Was your patient?
Was my patient.
Did not let
Eat cheese on your 6th birthday.
I can recommend a good therapist.
Why?
Way around your thoughts better than your wife, better than your therapist, better than anyone. If this is a dream and you have a safe full of secrets, I need...
I couldn't lose to that green-screened little shit, and I didn't want a therapist to make me feel okay about it. You know what makes you feel okay about losing?
Wrong with her.
Get her out of here.
Lady, this lady is almost a qualified therapist in the states of Nevada and Oklahoma. She trained in the province of Saskatchewan, Canada.
To my client.
Not so fast, Jerry. My client's psychotherapist is perfectly satisfied with her recovery from the events of the winter.
The site getting his numbers.
Well, he's been studying it for 30 years. He is a trained psychotherapist.
Okay, but we need something more than a metric from some...
Where are all the doctors?
I don't know.
There's a guy, therapist. His name's,
Have you ever thought about seeing a therapist?
If you knew me, you'd know I ain't going to see a therapist. I'm going to figure this out myself.
Did you ever even look at the...
Well, it takes 3 people to make our marriage work. Him, me, and our therapist.
A podiatrist, you know, they massage therapists. Some people do yoga.
Do you know such a person?
I do, as a matter of...
With any of those conditions, you will have to serve time. All right, I'll do the math, but I'm not going to meet with any fucking therapist.
It's better than spending that time in jail, isn't it?
I do become partly a doctor and partly a therapist and partly a priest. And I'm not a doctor or a therapist or a priest. And already some of these new...
Since his dad.
You know that you're not actually a therapist?
So Eva tells me you're a therapist.
Hey, tell us about one of your weirdest patients.
No, I can't.
No. Therapist got a big mouth.
I'm sorry. Who are you?
Pod parole officer? Pod uncle? Pod therapist?
Yeah. Well, why don't we just stick to the part parole officer?
But it would have to feel right.
If you want to talk to anybody, I have a great therapist.
So sweet of you, but I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm fine.
I got myself a job. I got myself a therapist, a really good one. And I feel better about myself than I ever have in my...
So, Mia is still unconscious. The respiratory therapists are going to run some tests to see when they can wean her off the ventilator.
This is Dr. Loke of Harley Street. He's my speech therapist. Grace?
Had I known.
When is this all gonna end?
Tonight. I just have to find him.
Why? A few days ago, you weren't even sure you still wanted to be a therapist.
Honey, I have to finish this.
What was the reason you gave? You mean... What was the reason you gave Chrisanne why Lisa should see a therapist?
I don't remember. We were talking and I said, it's pretty much what I...
You still seeing that therapist, Dyke? $300 an hour.
I know that it's going to take some time to get it fixed.
Well, you're a pretty good therapist. How long does it take a man like you?
All of us together. I don't know what happened to me at that hypnotherapist, and I don't know, maybe it was just shock and it's wearing off now, but when I...
The lawsuit is so repulsive to me. Now, I even lied to you when I told you that my therapist had told me to act on my thoughts. I wanted to...
Look, my therapist tells me I might not be getting what I need out of this relationship.
And you stuck in there with me and you went to see that stupid therapist that we see, even though you didn't want to. And you kept...
Hi, honey. The therapist called. You did it again.
There were no cabs. What was I supposed to do?
Sometimes I really hate you.
Oh, why don't you get yourself some friendly little therapist? I'll work out some of that hostility. And maybe you...
Missy's office. She takes appointments in there.
She's a therapist, right?
Psychiatrist, yeah. Yeah, it turns out people up here just...
A former therapist suggested it as a way to... As a way to closer relate to humankind.
Tap again? I mean, how much was the hooker?
Mike, please. Relaxation therapist. Okay? Not where it went.
You call that work? Oh, see? Tickle an aromatherapist and you find a fashion.
I'm not an aromatherapist. I'm a